So you've decided to become a marriage miracle group leader. Well, I want to tell you, you are about to embark on one of the most fulfilling adventures of your life. You're going to lead a group of 3 to 5 couples through a structured process that will literally transform their marriages. Now, the program is designed so that all you have to do is follow the curriculum step by step. We have invested a lot of time in making the curriculum very clear so that just about anybody can lead one of these groups. But in this 3-part series, I want to give you some tips on leading a successful group. And I want to begin with my personal story. You might say my transformation into groups, how I saw the light about the value of groups. There were many years that Evie and I took couples through this program only on an individual basis. I was convinced for a little over 15 years that that was the best way to do it. And then we ended up at a very large church and the demand was too great. There was just no way that we could see all the couples on an individual basis. And Evie's master's is in human services with a specialty in groups. And she was telling me for probably 2 of the latter part of those years how great groups are. And I just couldn't see it. Well, the circumstances at this large church gave me no choice but then to put several couples into a group and take them through several at a time. Now, we started off with 6 couples. We realized that based on the curriculum and the length of time and everything, that was too many. We ended up with 4, but it was a very successful group. And as a matter of fact, I saw things happen in the group that I had never seen happen in a one-on-one case before. And after doing that first group, I was completely sold. I was in agreement at that point with my wife that groups really were the better way. I can't even quite articulate it. It's just a dynamic that can only happen when there are other couples in the room interacting with each other. So my transformation took me from one extreme to the other, to the point where now we refuse to take couples through on an individual basis. How ironic. Something that I insisted on for nearly 15 years. But my wife was right. The group is much, much better. And my guess is that going into this, if you've never led a group before, it could be a little bit intimidating. I know that it was for me and it was for Evie. But just like the people that are coming to the group are intimidated by it, and in the first 30 minutes to an hour or so, that begins to fade away because they sense the spirit of compassion and empathy in the room. It will fade away for you too. So I want to encourage you to forge ahead into your first group meeting. Just do it and trust the process. Trust the curriculum that we have set up for you. Just follow it and trust the Holy Spirit to give you a great group experience. It's going to be one of the highlights of your life. I'm not exaggerating when I say that. It's really an amazing experience. I want to cover some of the challenges of a group and how you can overcome them. And one of the first is that often people are hesitant to go. And I find this especially prevalent in men. Women have that bonding thing going a little better, I guess. Men are a little more private. I don't know exactly what it is. But there will be some men that just don't want to go. Some that might even feel like they're being drugged there by their wife. But sometimes people are hesitant to go. So I just tell them that I know exactly how they're feeling. And if they will just come, that they will see that awkwardness fades away pretty quickly. Another challenge is meeting time challenges. When do we do our group? Do we do it on Thursday nights? Do we do it on Saturday mornings? When do we do it? after years and years of doing these, I've come to the conclusion, and I'm pretty confident in this answer. The time for the group meeting needs to be a time that is convenient to the group leaders. So the tendency is to try and cater to the couples. Well, talk to couple number one, what night is good for you? Thursday night. Couple number two says, oh, we can't do Thursdays, we can only do Monday nights. And next thing you know, trying to cater to everybody, you can't come up with a night that works for everybody. So this is a cycle that can go on forever if you don't just make a decision. And the decision has to be the preference of the group leaders. So whatever time is best for you, after all, you're volunteering your time for 12 weeks. So it should be convenient for you. If it's not, then 6-7 weeks into it, you're going to begin to resent your commitment to volunteer and do this because it's working against your schedule. So the group leader gets to choose the meeting time and the day that it takes place, as well as the location, unless it's been pre-designed by those that have set up the program in your area. In our area, we let the group leaders choose whether they want to do it in their house or in one of the rooms of the church. So, I also want to encourage you to avoid starting a group for a specific person or couple. In other words, you've got this couple that you have ended up interacting with, and they are in a crisis, and we have to do something for them fast. So we're going to start a group, and then we're going to try and get 3 more couples on the same night to fill out that group. We have done this before, and as hard as it might be to understand, it's a mistake. It's a mistake. The last one that we did like this, we started a group for a particular couple that I thought we just had to start something quick for, or their marriage was going to fall apart. They came to the first night and never came back. So then we were stuck with a group of 3 other couples. I shouldn't say stuck because it was good for the 3 other couples, but I think you get my point. We started it for one couple, and the couple that we actually started for the group for specifically on that night, at that time, which was not convenient to us, but now we were tied into it for the next 11 weeks with 3 other couples, even though the couple that we did it for bailed after the first week. So don't give in to that temptation to start a group at a specific time or day because of one particular couple. Set your time and date. Announce it. And any couple that says, we can't come on that night, have your line rehearsed and ready. Here's mine. I say, I'm very sorry, that night won't work for you. Would you like for us to put you on the waiting list and so that you will know when the next group starts? And they will either say, yes, put me on the waiting list, or they will do whatever it takes to get there on that night. By the way, when somebody makes a doctor's appointment and the doctor's office says you can have an appointment at 3 o'clock, can you imagine anybody calling the doctor's office back and saying, no, I can't meet the doctor at 3. He's going to have to meet me Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. It just doesn't work that way. Well, if people do what they have to do to get to see the doctor, to fix something in their physical body, people will do what they have to do to make the time available and get to the program to get help for their marriage. To me, it really is an indicator of who's serious and who's not. So, set your time, your day, your location, and stick to it. So, I want to move next to the differences between individual counseling and groups. I just want to touch on this real quick. Individual counseling is focused more on the personal side effects of an issue, and a group is focused more on the issues themselves. So in a individual counseling session, a person that's dealing with anger there may be a lot of time spent on how anger is messing up his life with his spouse, his kids, his job, and so on. In a group, the focus is going to be more on anger itself. So I tell you that because there will be temptations as you go around and hear from different couples in the group, there will be a temptation to allow a mini counseling session to take place with that one person. And then you've got, a dozen other people sitting there enduring this 15-20 minute counseling session that may not even apply to them because it's specifics to his certain circumstances. So stick to the plan and don't get caught up in many counseling sessions around the way. Just stick to the program the way that it's designed. The next thing I want to touch on is the structure and size of the group. I've already mentioned that we started out with 6. It was too many based on the curriculum and the length of time. We felt like we were having to rush people, to give their answers because we were watching the clock. We thought that was too many, so we brought it down to 4. Now, if a group ends up being 3, that's fine. Or if you've got a group scheduled and a 5th couple says, wow, we need this desperately and we can do that time, I think a 5th couple is okay. So anywhere from 3 to 5 couples is safe. Any less than 3, just 2 or 1, you lose the group dynamic. Any more than 5, there's just not enough time for everybody to go around. So the ideal group is 4 couples. The appropriate length of time is 2.5 hours. When we do our evening groups, we often do them from 6:30 to 9. That is enough time to get through the material. Now again, this program is well designed and it has been tested over and over and over again by multiple group leaders, and it bears out in every case that 2.5 hours is the right amount of time. You have to give people a specific time length. You just can't say 6:30 till we're done. You have to give them a time length. So 2.5 hours is workable. Another thing that you want to be mindful of in the structure of your group is you may have heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. He says that if certain needs are not taken care of, your mind cannot shift into a mode of learning. So some of those needs are to have a bathroom break, somewhere around an hour and a half into the meeting, you want to break and allow everybody to go to the restroom or to get a drink of water or just stretch or do whatever they need to do. The other one is water. We made the decision early to not do snacks. In the beginning, we would put snacks out for people, and even a variety of drinks, sodas and things like that, and it just caused problems. As silly as it might sound, just the crinkling of the wrappers and the chewing of the chips and the soda releasing the cap and things like that, it was a constant distraction throughout the night. So we offer water and coffee. Now sometimes people will bring their big, cup that they picked up on the way in, and of course that's fine. But on our end we offer coffee and water. Also make sure that the room is a good temperature. Not too cold and certainly not too hot. Listen, if it's too warm, you will notice about an hour into it, people's eyelids getting heavy. They're trying to connect, but the warmth has just lulled them in. It's like anesthesia. It's drawing them into sleep. So make sure that the room is a good temperature and one that they're going to be able to be comfortable and alert and willing or able to learn. The next thing I want to touch on is some do's and don'ts about groups. One of the first do's is to have a clock. Make sure that you have a clock visible. I use my iPhone. I put the app on that's got the big time so that I can see. It's actually an old counselor's trick. You put a clock somewhere just behind the person that you're talking to so that you can glance without taking a deliberate look at your wristwatch or some other clock on the wall. As soon as you do that, you lose them. It's like, oh, am I taking too long? Do we need to go? Do I need to be quiet now? You're looking at your watch. So put it in a place where you can glance at it and keep track of the time. One of the greatest challenges for you as a group leader will be to facilitate the group and keep it on track according to the time. Another do and don't is a do, and that's do start on time. Do start on time. If we say we're going to start at 6:30, we start at 6:30. If it's on a weeknight, it's fairly common for people to have the challenge of grabbing something to eat and getting there after work. So, from time to time, people are 5, 10, 15 minutes late. I'm not like a Gestapo that says it's 6:30, we start now. We're flexible. We talk to people as they come in. So I would say that in most of our groups, we have 5 to 10 minutes of just, catching up with each other, light talk about our day or what's going on with us. Again, as the group builds a sense of camaraderie and unity, they begin to share things. So, we had somebody that was buying a new house. So when they first come in, it's like, how did closing go? So there's a little bit of small talk in the beginning. But for the most part, try and start on time. And if there's one couple or one person that's going to be late, go on ahead and start and allow them to just come in when they're able to get there. The next do is do make confidentiality very clear. Listen, this is huge. You have to make confidentiality very clear. Don't bypass the signed consent forms. I want this to be a deliberate act that people take. By signing on the dotted line, I am committing to sacred confidentiality. It's highly important, and you want to hold on to those forms for the whole 12 weeks of the group process. And by the way, you should make it very clear that there is zero tolerance. In other words, the first time a person or a couple breaks that sacred confidentiality and you find out that they told somebody outside about something private that was said in the group, it's a hard thing to say and do, but the tolerance is zero. That couple is not allowed to come back to the group. You let them back and you will see that the balance of your group experience is almost useless, because now we've got somebody in here that we're scared to say something in front of because they might go and say it outside. So you make that clear right up front. Another is counselors' confidence. You need to make it very clear that your confidence is priest-like. I often will jokingly say, this room is like Vegas. What is said here stays here. And make it clear that you have the ability to keep priest-like confidence. There is one thing I want to touch on quickly. It rarely, if ever, comes up, but it's the duty to report. It's actually a state law in every state in our country that I'm aware of. And basically what the duty to report law says is that if you receive information about impending harm on someone, adult or a minor, or there's abuse to a minor, you have no choice but to report that. You just have no choice. Now, has that ever happened in a group? In my experience, no. But it's important that you know that in those extreme circumstances where somebody is saying that they're going to leave from that place and go and hurt someone or abuse a child, you have no options but to report it to the local authorities. Another do is start with prayer, asking the Holy Spirit to be the counselor. Listen, if people are putting their faith in me, they've got a problem. But if they put their faith in the Holy Spirit and God's truth that they're going to learn through this program, then that's something that they can take to the bank. So I want to make it clear that this group is not just being led by us, the group leaders. We're asking the Holy Spirit to come in and be the counselor here. So start with prayer and ask the Holy Spirit to be the counselor. You can also prevent possible train wrecks by setting a few rules in the beginning. One that I have already mentioned is the confidentiality and the zero tolerance for breaking it. Another one is that no one person should dominate the discussion. I don't think I've ever had a group that there wasn't at least one person between those 8 people that was a real talker and had the tendency to dominate, the time to talk. Even to the point where you can feel the tension rise in the room when it gets around to that person, because everybody knows, okay, this is going to take 10 or 15 minutes if the group leader doesn't do something about it. So one way to keep that from happening is to make it very clear on the first night, and it's in your group leader's notes to cover on the first night, that no one person should dominate the sharing time. Having said that and made it clear in the beginning, on week 3 or 4, if somebody's talking and they realize they're talking too long, they remember that you said that. And if somebody does it anyway and they just continue to dominate the time, then as a group leader, you do need to very politely just speak up and say, okay, now we're hearing what you're saying and we understand, but for the sake of time and staying on track, we are going to have to move on. But it's also the case often that somebody will be talking about something and we're on week 3, and I know that week 5 addresses that. So I'll very politely say, I hear you and I feel you. This is a big deal. I can see why you're upset about this. But knowing the program, I know that week 5 addresses that, and I think you're going to get your answers in week 5. So if you could just hold on until then, I think you'll get your answers. So if somebody does go on, you have to respectfully speak up and rein it in. Another thing to make clear in the beginning is that respect is expected. Everybody should respect everybody else in the group. Most adults get that, but every now and then, if somebody says something and there's a snicker or a chuckle or something, again, off the top of my head, I can't even remember it happening. But if it did, I would probably address it. I would say, "Now, come on, guys. Susie's very upset about this. She's very upset about this. So let's hear her." As a group leader, I would say something. But respect is expected. So be sure to continue on to part 2 and part 3 of this lesson set. In part 2, I give you some great tips on becoming a great group facilitator. And in part 3, I'm going to take you through the group leader's manual lesson by lesson and explain the thinking behind each lesson and the significance of their order. So be sure and watch part 2 and part 3 as well.